going on, Falcon fans? It's your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video. So today it's about 2 weeks away from the start of training camp, and we're gonna talk about that training camp roster. We're gonna talk about some of the burning questions that everybody want to know about. Then at the end, we're gonna actually talk about which team, special teams, defense, offense, who's actually gonna lead this team this year in 2022. So, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people could come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So, like I said, guys, we're going to talk about that 90-man roster coming into training camp. We already talked about the projected 53-man roster. We talked about some of the position groups. We talked about the DBs. We talked about the quarterbacks. We talked about the linemen, the linebackers. We broke down all these things, but at the end of the day, this team starting off here in 2 weeks with a 90-man roster. All these guys is coming in, and this is going to be the in 2022 Atlanta Falcons. All right. At the end, yep, they got to cut down their 53-man roster, but going into training camp, these 90 guys are the ones that's going to be coming in. So right now, we got 16 DBs. It's a lot of DBs. That includes the cornerbacks and the safeties. Got like 5 safeties, about 11 cornerbacks currently on the roster. The question is, are they going to actually keep all those DBs, right? We talked about it numerous of times. Smith talking about bringing in some more guys for the trenches. But as we stand here today, 2 weeks away, we still got the question about are they going to bring in all 16 of their DBs? We did get winter one safety and Brad Hawkins, but we can bring in Eddie Goldman. But we still have 16 DBs out there. I think this DB room is going to be exciting this year, and I think they're going to be one of the top defensive backfields in NFL. Despite where all the noise out there in the national media about this DB room, this DB room is going to be exciting. I can promise you that. All right. Receivers. We actually got 12 receivers on the roster. This is another position group that we kind of assumed that it wasn't going to not be this many receivers coming to the camp. However, as we stand today, like I said, about 2 weeks away, we still have 12 receivers on this roster. And one of the questions is about this group is Drake London, right? We want to know how Drake London is going to fare in this receiving group. We want to know if Drake London is going to be that dog that we hope he can be, right? We hope Drake London can actually live up to the number 8 overall pick. The question is, can he have the lofty um, numbers that Kyle Pitts had? Kyle Pitts, everybody said he was a unicorn. Nobody's not saying Drake London is a unicorn. However, we still want him to come out because he's coming in as the number one receiver. Like it or not, Drake London is going to be that number one receiver. We also picked up and we traded for Brandon Edwards, right? Been in the league a while, still young, still on his rookie contract. The Falcons got him for this year and another year to actually see what kind of potential that Brandon Edwards have. And I think that 1-2 punch can be dynamic. We have to see, but that's going to be one of the questions. How is this receiver group going to actually fare this year? The Falcons went out and revamped the whole receiving group. So we really need to be able to figure out how the Falcons going to actually factor in from a receiving group standpoint. Who's going to be that slot receiver? If it's Days the kid is going to go ahead and take over and take Russell Gage's spot of being that slot receiver that we need. Is it going to be Demir Bird that's going to take that position? We do know that Drake London can actually play in the slot. We've seen it in college. This guy can play inside and outside. Kyle Pitts can play inside, outside. So it's going to be interesting to see how this receiving group goes. But we're gonna see if Frank Darby. I've seen videos of Frank Darby getting it in on this offseason, working out. If Frank Darby actually going to be able to actually make the 53-man roster, and then he's actually going to be able to get some playing time this year at receiver. We all know Frank Darby only got one reception last year, 6th-round pick coming out of Arizona State, but we need to be able to determine if Frank Darby actually can be an NFL player. We know he's a spark plug in the locker room. Everybody likes him. Get everybody's hyped up with his energy, but he got to be able to produce in the NFL. We know he's a good special teamer, but we need to be able to see what he's going to be able to do from a receiver standpoint. So that's one of the questions. Will Drake London live up to that number 8 overall pick? Who's going to end up being that slot receiver for us? Is it going to be Alameda Sakir, Demir Bird? And if Frank Darby is going to actually make the team this year, right? All right, the next position, which is probably one of the most exciting, right? Because um, since the last 14 years, we have not had a quarterback competition. We all knew who the number one quarterback was. We knew it was Matty Ice. He was coming in. He was going to take charge. He was going to be that leader. And this year is going to be different. All right, we got Marcus Mariota coming back to try to rejuvenate his career. Come in, he's 100% healthy. I think he in the mind and body, and I think he's going to come out. He's going to be able to show what he's going to be able to do. However, we got the young, motivated Desmond Ritter, who already have got high praise from his head coach. Talk about his mind in the playbook already. This guy is already um had a lot of young quarterbacks at this point going into training camp. Now we got to see if he able to put that mind, the studying he's been able to do, and actually put it on the field. We know it's going to be a fierce competition. Good thing both of these guys actually like each other, because you don't want to see that kind of stuff going on in a locker room, i.e., something like we might see in Carolina when those guys going to be battling out to see. And because those both remember both of those guys came out of the same draft, so that's going to be interesting in Carolina. Baker Mayfield was pick number 1, Sam Darnold was pick number 3, and now those guys actually battling to see who's going to be the starting quarterback for those Panthers. No matter. All right. One other question about the quarterback: is Felipe Franks even going to get any snaps? Right. He's our third quarterback. We all know that, but he has been trying out at tight end. So the question is Felipe Franks even going to get snaps at QB? It's going to be important to see how many reps they want to get Desmond Ritter and Marcus Mariota. It's going to be a good quarterback competition. So both of these guys might get all the snaps. Felipe Franks might be getting the leftovers. Want to see how long these guys actually going to play in preseason, right? That's going to be important. Last year Arthur Smith talked about how he didn't play a lot of his starters in preseason. However, I think this year is going to be a lot different, and he's actually going to get these guys on the field to actually play some preseason games, because this year we don't know, right? We don't know. We don't know. Let's talk about that running back spot. It's 7 running backs out there, right? So the question I have, and I want you guys to see if you can help me out with this. Who's going to be that starting running back? Is it going to be Cordell Patterson, right? Or is it going to be the young rookie Tyler Algier, who had, like we always talked about, had the most broke tackles in college, had 1,600 yards, 23 touchdowns. I think this guy is underrated draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's going to come out. He's going to run hard. That linebacker mentality that he had when he first came playing on the defensive side, he's bringing that over to the offensive side. This guy is hard to bring down, and he actually might end up being that number 1 running back. We just have to see. We all know Cordell Patterson can do so many other different things, but it's going to be interesting to see how Arthur Smith want to actually see if he want to go ahead and put that rookie out there to start the season, or is it something that he want to hold back and let Cordell Patterson take off? Is Quadri Allison going to even get a fair shot this year? Of course, we got um, um, Damian Williams as well. He's another running back that we brought in, veteran running back. This guy could have Quadri Allison like the fourth running back coming in. We got Tyler Algier, Cardell Patterson. Now, Damian Williams. It's going to be interesting to see if Quadra Allison is going to even get a shot. I think he's a pretty good back. It's just so unfortunate that he's going to be in this situation again. He got to prove himself. Really going to be interesting to see what kind of run that Quadra Allison get. And then last but not least, Avery Williams. The question is, can he actually transition from a defensive back to a running back? Right, that's going to be big for him. We know what he's able to do in the special teams, but um, going from that cornerback position to that running back position is going to be very tough for Avery Williams. So we want to see how he fared in training camp and in these preseason games. Avery Williams playing that running back position. Let's talk about our pass rushers, our outside linebackers. So the question I have about our outside linebackers, um, who's going to start on the other side of Lorenzo Carter? Is it going to be Okendeji or is it going to be Arnold Ebiketie? We all know Dean Pease wants somebody that knows the defense. So whoever is that guy that's taking the Desmond Ritter approach, learning the playbook, getting in, trying to learn it in and out, if Armor Ebiketie can be that guy, I think he's going to get the nod. We know Dean Pease don't want to put a rookie out there. He said it. He don't want to put a guy out there that's going to be struggling, and it's going to be hard for them to actually be able to grasp the, because he don't want them to look bad, right? So until they learn the defense, he's going to hold them back. So if Armor Ebiketie want to get out there, we know we can see that he's one of the most polished pass rushers on our team right now. So he has the potential to actually be a starter, but if he's not ready on day one, I think Okendeji actually can win that position, and Armor Ebiketie will be a rotation of pass rusher to start the season. But just time will tell. But that's one of our questions to be able to see about this pass rush. We'll see what D'Angelo Malone gonna be able to do. I'm excited to see his motor when he was at Western Michigan was just unbelievable. I'm definitely want to see what D'Angelo Malone can actually put out there on film for us. And then Lorenzo Carter, the the um the young veteran that we have, because he's probably the oldest one in the room. However, this guy is coming off 5 sacks, come back from injury himself the previous season, coming back in this season. In his last 4 or 5 games, he actually had more sacks than any other pass rusher that the Falcons had on their team. So um, we know he's going to be starting on one side. We just got to be able to see if he can actually pick up that production. If you can get that many sacks in your last 4 or 5 games, imagine what you can do in the 17-game season. So I'm excited to see what Lorenzo Carter can do. He's coming back home, Georgia Bulldog. Let's see what Lorenzo Carter can do. Our inside linebackers. Now, this position is definitely got a lot of questions, right? We know they drafted um, the young phenom Troy Anderson, who played all over the field, still young and raw. So I don't know if he's actually going to be able to crack the starting lineup. However, Michael Walker has been itching to get in there, and I think Michael Walker is going to actually have a good opportunity to actually be that one of those starting linebackers alongside Rashard Evans. I think Rashard Evans coming in, I think they actually want him to be that Mike for this team, taking um Foye Olakun's spot. He knows Dean P's defense already. Um, just like Dean P said, they don't know why the Tennessee Titans decided to let him go, but I think he's going to flourish in this defense. Rashad Evans, that other position is just interesting to see what they're going to do. Is Michael Walker actually going to be able to crack the starting lineup finally? Because I know he's been itching at it. But it is another guy out there that still on this team, and if he's on this team, um, I don't see why he would not be the other guy beside a Rashawn Evans, and that's Deion Jones, right? We still don't know what they're gonna do with Deion Jones. That's one of our burning questions, right? We just have to get that answered. We know, first of all, we don't know if he's actually going to start training camp healthy, right? He might start on the PUP list. If that's the case, um, um, guys like Troy Anderson, guys like Michael Walker, definitely going to get the opportunity to actually fit in. Don't forget about Nick Kwiatkowski, the veteran they brought in to actually play in. I think if he plays, I can see him playing on the backside of Rashawn Evans, being that Mike, somebody that can actually lead the defense, who's going to have that the thing in his helmet to listen to the plays. So that's one of the things that we got to think about. All right, another position. That's what's so fun about this offseason, guys. It's like the Falcons don't have anything solidified from a starting lineup standpoint. Nowhere really, except a couple of positions like a Kyle Pitts, right? Like a we know Drake London starting. We know AJ Terrell, Casey Hayward, those guys are starting. But every other position, we know Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom starting. But from an offensive line standpoint, this is a big, big, big burning question for us. First of all, are the Falcons actually going to bring in any more offensive linemen to compete? Right now, we had 15 offensive linemen, only 5 guards, right? So that's interesting because one of our weaknesses that we had last year, and it's already been talked about over and over again, is Jalen Mayfield, young guy from Michigan, starting, playing tackle in college, came in and he was forced to actually come in and play guard all season last year. I don't think he was ready, but it was no choice. Had to come in. He got baptized right away when he had to go up against that Philadelphia Eagles front line. So it's going to be interesting to see Jalen Mayfield progression from year one to year two. This is a big guy. He's motivated. He's athletic, but he's got to be able to show some improvement this year. Like I said, it's kind of interesting that the Falcons did not bring any veterans in to push Jalen Mayfield. They did draft Justin Schaefer. They still got Kobe Gossick out there. They got Ryan Newsel out there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if Jalen Mayfield can actually keep that position. If he can, and if he can play better than he played last year, that'd be great for the Atlanta Falcons because they already invested a pick on Jalen Mayfield, and you want to take your investments and make them work out for you. So this is going to be a big season for Jalen Mayfield. I really believe that. We still don't know. One of the questions are, um, will the Falcons actually bring in another offensive lineman to actually compete with Jalen Mayfield? That's one of our questions. I'm talking about a veteran lineman, right? We still got some guys out there that could definitely bring in. A Trey Flowers out there. Um, the guard out of Cincinnati last year. So we can actually bring in a couple of veterans that can actually help push a player like a Jalen Mayfield. Our tight end room, um, really, it's really not a whole lot to talk about on the tight end room. We know that we got, like I said, the unicorn Kyle Pitts there, already rated one of the top 5 tight ends in the league. That's no surprise. Um, we just need to see what Anthony First is going to be able to do. The rookie John Fitzpatrick, we're going to see if he's going to be able to um, bring some of that blocking with that big frame that he has from Georgia over, and those soft hands that he have that we could probably utilize in the red zone. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's one of our questions about that tight end room. Who's going to actually come in and be that complimentary tight end for Kyle Pitts, right? We already know Arthur Smith is going to line Kyle Pitts all over. He's not your everyday um, right on the line tight end. Kyle Pitts can line up all over the field, but he's still trying to be that inline tight end and actually be able to help in the running game as well. So I love that about Kyle Pitts. The last position group that we're going to talk about is the D line, right? So we all know that the Falcons brought in Eddie Goldman. So one of the questions is who's going to be that starting D tackle, right? who's going to be? Is it going to be Anthony Rush? Is it going to be Eddie Goldman, or is it going to be Trey Vincent? That's going to be a big story for us. We can get a guy that's solid in that position at D tackle. I'm telling you guys, it's going to help out Grady Jarrett a lot. Grady Jarrett's going to be able to do the things he do. That quick, that quick first step that he had to get in the backfield, to disrupt plays, to penetrate. That's going to be the good. And then the the one of the other burning questions is who's actually going to be on the other side. Um, is it going to be Taquan Graham or is it going to be Marlon Davidson? Um, Marlon Davidson, I think, has more to prove. Second round pick. Um, two, 2 years removed. He's going his third season. This got to be the season for Marlon Davidson. He's got to be able to prove that he has some potential. Um, all that ability that he has. The problem with Marlon Davidson, he has not been able to stay on the field. Um, Everybody knows the big play he made last year against Tom Brady. Who could have thought was we could have had a trivia question: who got the last pick six out of Tom Brady? It would have been Marlon Davidson, right? But however, Tom Brady decided to come back, so hopefully somebody else get a pick six from the Falcons, right? So, but Marlon Davidson got a lot to prove, right? Right now, I think it's a toss up between him and Taquan Graham. I know Taquan Graham. You guys got my video that I had a couple of days ago about his length and his ability to be able to penetrate as well. Um, like I said, he played like 300 snaps last year, so we're going to be able to see that battle between Marlon Davidson and we're going to be able to see Taquan Graham come in. Um, I'm just excited about this D line. I really want to know what you guys think. Those questions. And then last but not least, guys, everybody always forget about special teams, right? So, but we all know that special team is one of the most important um, teams in football, right? Special teams set up so much. I remember last year talking about some of the things that I taught about my keys to victory. I always had special teams in it because we know it's all about field position, right? It's all about the kicking game. It's all about making sure we don't give up explosive plays in the kicking game, right? And get explosive plays. So those are things we got to think about when we think about special teams. First of all, we're gonna go to the returner. We think Avery Williams. This is why I think he's going to make the roster, even though he might be a little behind from the running back position. But he is our returner right now, our kickoff returner and our punt returner. Of course, we would love to see Cardell Patterson returning kicks on the kickoff game, but since his touches picked up on the offensive side, it seems like um, they decided to have Avery Williams be full time with that, and this is where he needs to be able to seal the deal, right, in the return of game. So he's got to be able to show us in the preseason and training camp that he is that resident punt returner, kick returner for the Atlanta Falcons, and that's how he makes this roster, Avery Williams. So of course we have somebody like Alumda's kids can return kicks. Like I said, we always can put Cardell Patterson back there. But some of these other guys that might be fringe players, let's see what they'll be able to do in the return game as well. Right, next is our punter. If you guys know, I put Seth the rookie as our making it fit 3-man roster, but that's before they actually signed Pinion, right? So I'm not sure now. I think they might want that veteran present and opinion out there. Former punter from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he actually might be the guy that actually gets that position, but I still think it's going to be a good competition because Seth has a great leg, right? This guy can kick the ball a long way. Um, I liked his game. If you go back and look at some of his film, but when it comes to special teams, I know some of the special team coaches and likes consistency. They like veterans in that position, so we just got to see what they decide to do at the punter position. Our long snapper is going to be Liam McCullough. Um, we lost Harris. over all those years. Finally, when he went out to the Chargers, got paid, so that's good for him. I'm glad to see that he actually was able to get you know compensated for his good work here in Atlanta. But we got a new long snapper, so they make sure Young Way Cool. I'm thinking they should have during the off season got some of their timing down. Then last but not least, Mr. Youngway Koo. Um, he's the only kicker on the roster, so let's cross our fingers, make sure he does not get hurt. Um, only reason he's we know he's is our kicker. There's no need to bring in competition for Youngway. He been one of the most consistent kickers over the last 2 seasons. That's why he was able to cash in with that big payday from the Atlanta Falcons this year. So the last question that I'm gonna ask, and I really want to know what everybody opinion about this. Which team is going to lead this year? I think for years we have seen the offensive side of the ball lead this team. Um, Matt Ryan was there. We had all those great weapons on the outside. Even though we still had issues running the ball, we could always count on the offense to actually put up enough points for us to actually win games. And we just hope the defense didn't blow it for us, right? That's where the Falcon football was for years. We know that the last regime, Thomas Dimitrov, kind of built the team around the quarterback and his weapons and kind of neglected the defensive side of the ball. Now, I think we got a new um, vision, and I think we're trying to be more balanced, right? We just don't want to put all the money on one side of the ball and don't invest in the defense, right? I think we got a little balance going on right now. Of course, that because of our quarterbacks not making a whole lot of money, we know when that happens, it kind of mess up your ability to be able to sign a lot of quality players because a lot of your salary be going towards that starting quarterback. So that is understandable. But this year, in my opinion, and the questions need to be answered, I know, but because we have an unknown at the quarterback position, because we have um, so many young receivers that's going to be dependent upon. We still got the phenom Kyle Pitts, but I think it needs to be on the defensive side to actually lead this team to victories this year. I think with Dean Payne's scheme, with the guys we got over there, the Grady Jarrett, our awesome secondary that we're going to be able to have, I think we should be able to lead this team and hold teams to a respectable score so our offense can actually come in and produce things. We can do that. That will help Arthur Smith be able to run his ball like he want to, control the clock, manage the game in a way that the defense can actually start winning. The whole cliche that defense win championships, we could never utilize that in Atlanta, but I don't see why we can't start to try to change things like that now. So I'm really interested to see what you guys think about um, something like the defense actually being the lead, right? They got AJ Terrell being the face, right? Grady Jarrett's over there. Like I said, Casey Hayward, um, Rashawn Evans is definitely still going to lead that linebacker core, along with Michael Walker, who's burning, and then those young safeties. I think both of those young safeties, the athletic ability, the hunger. If Richard Grant said he knows this defense, I think that secondary is going to help us out. So, in my opinion, like I said, we got to get it answered during training camp. It's going to start there, but I think the defensive side of the ball is definitely going to lead this team this year. Um, that's going to be definitely a change for this Atlanta Falcons team in years to come. We just need our quarterbacks. Not saying they're managers or anything like that, but we just need our quarterbacks not to lose the game for us and see if our defense can hold the line and be better than we ever thought defense for Atlanta Falcons could be. Special teams are always important. not saying special teams can't lead, but let's be honest. We don't want Young Wei Koo kicking a lot of field goals this year. We want to get touchdowns. We want him kicking extra points. That's what we would like. We want him kicking a lot of kickoffs. That's what we would like. We don't want to see um, Avery Williams doing a lot of kickoffs returns, right? We want to see him doing a lot of punt returns. That's the mindset we need to have from Atlanta Falcons standpoint. So those some of the things that I'm gonna be looking for. I can't wait. I know you guys can't wait to see what these guys are going to actually do this year in training camp. That 90-man roster, like I said, these are the guys that's going to be the Atlanta Falcons going into 2022. They still have 2 weeks to make some roster moves. We'll just have to see what they decide to do. But if not, I want you guys to think about those questions. We're gonna recap them real quick. The excitement from the DBs. What you think about them actually leading this team from a defensive standpoint? Can Drake London, Brian Edwards actually be that number one, number two punch for us? Can Alumda's the kids take Russell Gage's spot and be that slot receiver? Can the quarterback battle live up to the hype that we hope it can between Desmond Ritter and Marcus Mariota? Will Felipe Franks even get any snaps, right? That's one of the questions we need to answer. Who's going to be that starting running back? Is it going to be CP? Is it going to be Tyler Algier? Will Cardre Allison even get an opportunity to actually make the roster this year? We always talk about that and say it's competition, but that's going to be interesting to see. Um, will AK-47, Mr. Ebikadi, get the start over Okendeji? That's going to be one of our things. Can Lorenzo Carter pick up where he left off at the end of the season? Will D'Angelo Malone continue to show that motor that he showed when he was in college? What will happen with Deion Jones? That's really that simple. Can Michael Walker actually get that starting position beside Rashawn Evans? Will they actually bring in some more help to compete against Jalen Mayfield? Will Jalen Mayfield make that jump from year one to year two? Can Caleb McGarry, right? I didn't mention him earlier, but can he actually um, going into a contract season stop getting beat by Cameron Jordan? Can Kyle Pitts continue to take off where he left off last year, already being the phenom that he is? Who's going to be that second tight end to fill in behind Kyle Pitts? And then at defense, who's going to be our defensive tackle to start the season? Who's going to actually win on the other side of Grady Jarrett between Taquan Grant and Marley Davidson? And last but not least, who's going to be our punter? Is it going to be the veteran Pinion or is it going to be the rookie Seth? Guys, those are the questions that we're going to all be looking at in the start of training camp. We can talk about it. We're going to be able to see videos. I'm gonna try to get out to some of the open practices to see can I provide you guys some input from what I see personally. Um, Definitely going to get a lot of reports from our Falcon writers, our beat writers, things like that. We'll be able to hear the players, we'll be able to hear the coaches, and then at the end of the day, we'll get to see it for preseason, right? So I can't wait for these 2 weeks to start. It's been a dead time. I guess the only good thing I can say that the Braves been playing their butt off. Um, so go watch the Braves and root those guys on for these next 2 weeks, even though they about to go through an All-Star break. And then from that point on, guys, football season from the end of July to for us, hopefully sometime in February. And that's all I got, guys, today. This is your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video. Peace.